This week on Performance TV, we're modernizing the stereo in your classic car with custom auto sound. And later on, Joe learns how to make the perfect cut no matter what the project or angle. Cutting, cleaning, clamping, and towing are all next, here on Performance TV.
Welcome to this week's Performance TV. Let's say you have a really cool classic car. Well, the car may be cool, but the sound that's from the factory definitely was not. That's where custom auto sound comes in. Now, back in 1977, the folks at Custom Auto Sound saw where there was a need to be able to replace the factory radios, but nobody was coming up with anything. They came to the rescue, and over the last 40 years, they have been listening to their customers and coming up with great systems to replace direct fit right into your classic car with over 300 different applications and very easy installation. Just like we have for our 70 Torino GT that we're going to be working on today, we're going to be replacing the factory radio with some really cool stuff. I mean, like everything that you could possibly want, all the technology from Bluetooth, USB, everything, and you're going to be able to install it right in your garage. Now, for an example, this is still going to look like it's factory, but it's going to be a whole lot more than that as we check out, like I said, all the different options that are going to come with this radio. Everything is marked with your USB, your microphone input. You'll be able to add a 6-disc CD changer. You have everything all listed, very easy to install, and my favorite part, Bluetooth. Now, Custom Auto Sound has offered Bluetooth as an addition to their systems for quite a few years now, but all of their radios now are coming with it. It's not an added option. You have your microphone, everything to be able to plug in, and you'll be able to go down the road, listen to, your radio, or listen to whatever is on your phone, and have that type of technology in your classic car. What do you say we check in with Joe and get this thing installed?
We're going to take care of this install right now, and what I like to do is lay out all the parts and pieces first. We've already got the wiring harness in place, and the folks at Custom Auto Sound have done a great job making it very easy. For instance, these pigtails on the plugs are already keyed, meaning there's no way you can get it wrong. So the first thing you'll do is plug the wiring harness in and make sure the wires pop in nice and solid. You want to make sure the connections are really strong so you don't have to take this thing back out. Next thing you'll do is reach around under the dash and put the unit in place, which is pretty simple. Make sure the washers are on the backside to provide stability. The next thing you'll do is put the bezel over the top, and you can already see it's starting to look good. A washer on each side, and it won't be long until we're jamming out the super sounds of the 70s. I like to get one of these washers started so then I can take hands off and put things in place. They've done a really great job making it look period perfect, but the idea that we're going to be able to plug in a USB drive with our favorite songs, thousands, into this unit is going to be exactly what we're looking for. Not to mention hands-free calling. Now, the folks at Custom Auto Sound also bench test all of the units that they put out, so you don't have to worry about getting the unit in your car and having it not work. That is the worst. You want a nice snug fit, but you don't want to over tighten. That's kind of a rule of thumb in everything. Don't force it, don't over tighten it. And look at that, you can already see how nice it is. So now we've got it in place. The next thing we're going to do is put the chrome bezel in position. And look at that. That is so nice. You don't want to work it on, you don't want to force it. And it is right there. Next in, the knobs. And they're keyed, so you just got to kind of fiddle with them, and they will go into position. Let's get this other one in position, and just like that, they don't go very far on, and that's the mechanism. There's a button on the end of each of these posts, and the next thing we will do is put them in place, and I'm very happy I can reach through the steering wheel here. There they go. And now the knobs. And this just looks perfect. It looks like it came from the factory, except you've got modern technology at your fingertips. And so we just want to get this into position as best as we can. And the folks at Custom Auto Sound have got us ready in our 1970 Torino GT to hit the highway.
All right, Joe, how did you come along with that?
Oh, it turned out great. This thing is a hot rod, and now it's got modern technology.
You know what? And it looks like it came from the factory that way. You know, it goes right along with everything that they've done in the interior to make it look nice and clean with the nice carpet from Rock Auto.
I love the fact that it's got a digital menu, and then you can cycle right through all the options, including Bluetooth, so you could hear your favorite 70s jams or your favorite motorsports podcast, and a couple of auxiliaries. And you know, 1970s music is perfect for this car.
And you know what? All kinds of really cool colors that we can change it to as well. Find out what they have for your ride at custom-autosound.com. We'll have more Performance TV right after this.
Performance TV is being brought to you by Bauman Electronic Controls, celebrating over 25 years of automatic transmission performance. Evans Cooling Systems, the solution to overheating and corrosion. C-Max, the one product for your engine, transmission, and fuel system. And by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping.
Welcome back to Performance TV. Every shop needs a chop saw, so convenient, and this unit from sawblade.com has got it covered. Chris from Sawblade is going to tell us about why this unit is so special. Chris, what's up with this saw?
This is the Trajan Q700 portable carbide chop saw. It's unique because it's small, affordable, and convenient. Almost 80% of all cutting is 2-inch and below, and this saw will cut 80% of your workload.
Now, I notice its size means it's going to fit in the trailer in the back of a truck, and if you're a worker who's going out on a job site, you can just throw this in the back, and it's not going to take up a lot of space.
That's correct. That's what it was designed for, lightweight and portability. When you put the head down and lock it, it has an easy carrying handle, so you can put it wherever you need to. It runs off a simple 110-volt plug.
And you can continuously cut. You mentioned the rubber handle. If you're cutting all day, that's going to make a difference on your joints.
It is. We designed this with a lot of input from end users. We put a real comfortable rubber handle on it with a big trigger, so it's easy to pull down and it's easy to cut and control.
Now, you mentioned most cutting is under 2 inches, and that makes this the perfect size for those jobs.
Yes, this was designed for 2-inch cutting capacity and below for a reason. Like I said earlier, 80% of all cutting is done on 2-inch round and below. This saw will cut up to a 2 1/4.
And I noticed there's an accessory here. What is the story with this roller?
This roller is an RS500 portable roller. It's for positioning your work. And this was designed by one of our long-term employees, Dennis Zimmerman. And later on in the show, if you have an opportunity, you should ask him about it. It's a pretty interesting story.
Well, we have an opportunity. Dennis is going to join us right now. Dennis from sawblade.com, the inventor of the roller. He's also going to make some cuts. Dennis, what's the story behind the roller?
Well, I was working on a roll cage in one of our projects at the house, and normally you go out to the steel supply center and you get a 20-foot piece of material on your trailer, and it's too big to fit in your garage with your car. So a lot of times I'll take the small saw, being portable, out to the trailer, and I'm looking for 2x4s or whatever I can find to brace the material to make a straight cut. And no sooner you get to about the point where you need to make your cut, it all falls over. Took a moment and mocked up a small roller there and tried to make it as usable as possible. As you can see, there's different holes in it. You can actually move the roller up and down to fit different size machines. So you can use it for your wood saws, you can use it for your small chop saws, You can use it all over the place.
Let's fire up the saw, make a straight cut. It also does miter from what I understand, but let's see this baby work.
As you'll notice, there's no heat. It's cool to the touch. One of the main features of this is the carbide cutting technology that goes into the blade. All the heat goes out into the chip. So as you can see, all the shavings on the table, they're blue. That's from the heat transfer into the chip and not into the part.
That makes working with it so much more convenient, not having to worry about the temperature of the part you are cutting. Now, that is a straight cut. Can you show us a miter cut really quick? Wow, that is cool to the touch, and what a nice cut. Miter, chop saw, the roller working, and from what I understand, this is patented technology.
Yeah, we knew this roller was going to be so popular, we spent the time and the effort to patent it, so the only place you can get this is at sawblade.com.
This is a must for any DIY race car shop or anyone that wants to do any metalworking, and if you want to find out more, you can go to sawblade.com. We've got more Performance TV coming up after this.
Performance TV coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Welcome back to Performance TV. You know, if you need to tow, then you need Tulo. That's why we brought John in from Tulo. If you're trying to move a heavy load around with your four-wheel drive, that can be pretty tough when you're in 4-low. But that's why we have Tulo. Tell us about the product and why it's so cool.
Well, Kathy, it reduces the stress in your transmission by roughly 60%.
Wow.
Which, when you're moving something around, it makes it 60% easier to move. So if you're hauling anything, camper trailers, boats, dump trailers, anything, it's just so much easier to move it when you're in two-wheel drive low range.
Sure, because when you're trying to, in the steering, you really feel that when you're in four-wheel drive. I mean, it really binds up sometimes.
It feels like you're going to snap something. The harder you turn, the worse it gets. And to say, unless you're backing a trailer up in a straight line, four-wheel drive low range, you can't really use it. So most times you're doing this with your trailer, trying to get it into the parking spot or a campsite or whatever. So this thing here is simply plugs in very easily, and at the push of a button, it gives you two-wheel drive low range.
And everything comes in the box, whether you have the Chevy, the Ford, or the Dodge. We're going to plug right into where, like our computer diagnostic port would be, and then we're going to be able to install all this. Nice button, be able to put it, you know, wherever you want.
You can mount it in the dash, a 3/4 inch hole, or you can mount it in a supply bracket that comes with the kit. Very easy to install, takes minutes to install.
John, you know, a lot of times we would have other things we would want to plug into the OBD connector. Do you have like a pass-through available?
We do so. It's called a piggyback, and you can just simply add on your connectors on top of that. So we can address that too.
All right, well, everything that comes for the Tulo that you need in the box, and what do you say we check in with Joe and get one installed in our Ford?
The guys at Tulo have a really cool little gadget right here. It's going to do a lot, and it doesn't take a whole lot to install it. You get the unit, and you have a couple of connectors, an RJ11 about the size of a telephone connector, one end. The other end is an RJ45, like an Ethernet cable, goes in the other end. You want to make sure it's nice and tight and ready to go. Then you're going to take the diagnostic port end and plug it into your diagnostic port. Pretty simple. You're going to want to make sure the connections are very tight. And before you mount it, which is totally customizable, there's two-sided tape. It can go pretty much anywhere in the vehicle. There's plenty of cable depending on where you want to put it, but you want to make sure it works. You can see the white LED light there means it is connected and ready to go. We're going to test this bad boy, but before we do that, check out this.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Evaporust question and answer session. Our first question is from Tony. Hi, I have a 1971 Porsche 914 with a Chevy 350 engine and a 2-core aluminum radiator. The engine always runs hot. New coolant soon looks reddish brown. How much of your product do I need to completely flush my system?
Well, it sounds like he's got a rusty cooling system, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he needs to put 1 quart per 2 gallons of water. So if he's got a larger than 2 gallons, put in 2 quarts. Run it for a couple of days, flush it, and then he shouldn't have any more problems with it overheating.
Our next one is from Jane. I noticed all we need to do is have the rusty item soaked, rinsed, and dry. What liquid do you use to rinse? Water? If yes, does that cause the metal parts to rust again before the parts get dry?
Yeah, water is what we want to use there. Rinse it, dry it, and then you're ready to put on rust block. Let me show you at the workshop what we do with rust block.
Okay.
Okay, Tasha, here's a part that we did earlier. You can see this is what it looked like before with the rusty edge. And here's what it looks like after we've de-rusted it.
Everything's moving and working?
Yeah. And we've rinsed it with water, and now we've dried it. And so now we want to keep this from re-rusting, so we're going to use rust block aerosol, and we're just going to give it a good liberal coat. I mean, it is completely safe. You can spray anything you want to with it, including your hands if you want to. Give it a good coat, let that dry on there, and that's going to keep that from rusting for about a year.
Awesome.
But when you want to remove this, instead of it being an oil, it's a water-based, so you rinse it with water, it dries, and then you're ready to paint.
That's great. And you can find our aerosol at O'Reilly's Auto Parts nationwide on the shelf. And if you have any other questions, visit our website.
You know what, Joe? It was actually a very easy install.
Well, after being in 4 low and trying to turn the vehicle, you could feel all the stress in the transfer case. So it makes a lot of sense that this would be very helpful, especially with a trailer.
Oh my gosh, and yes, you know, ATVs and tractors, they already come with something like this, you know, for the 2 low option, but not until now were you able to do it in your Dodge, Chevy, or Ford.
Well, let's try it out. We're going to put it into 2 low. We are going to press our button. It goes red. Give it a second to do its thing.
All right.
And we already felt like it was all bound up a moment ago.
Oh my gosh, I know, trying to turn, and then of course if you're towing anything. Now let's go ahead and try this corner around here.
All right, here we go.
And we just come on around. I'm going to be anxious to see how your steering is with this.
Yeah, that's it. We'll go around the corner. Oh my goodness.
Check that out. Check that out.
That
just
is
right
incredible.
around the corner.
That is incredible.
That is absolutely perfect. Now that's the way to be able to move something. 2low.ca. Find out how you can get one. Like I said, Ford, like we have in this vehicle, Chevy, or Dodge, and that just made all the difference in the world.
Complete. It was awesome, and it installed so easily.
Yes,
What's
it did.
better than that?
Hey, tell you what, something like this, you need to check it out for yourself. And we're going to check out a whole lot more. Let's get back in the studio. We'll have more Performance TV right after this.
Performance TV is being brought to you by Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories. North Star Performance, innovation without boundaries. Borla, the world's most winning exhaust. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome to this week's Gen Y Towing Tip of the Week. Tracy, some folks just don't realize how important it is to keep the load level. There's multiple axles on a lot of trailers for a reason.
That's exactly correct. If you're not towing level, you're not utilizing both axles appropriately, which means you're going to damage one, if not both of the axles, possibly even the towing vehicle. So what we did at Gen Y is you have this type of trailer, which is considered a pintle hook, where they do have some adjustability, but that's not very common. In a lot of these, there's a fixed hitch. And how do you rectify that problem with towing? Well, at Gen Y, what we did is a standard type of truck may need a little bit of a lift for this to tow level.
Absolutely.
Wherein you get these bigger jacked up trucks, customized trucks, you can now take this
And drop it like it's hot.
and drop it.
There you go.
And so now you've got it for the big trucks where this is lower, and so if your trailer is down lower, you can still tow it level.
Right, and it's not going to be changing your towing capacity by flipping it either.
No, it's not. In our hitches, we start with 5 inches of drop. We go all the way to 17 and a half.
Wow. And that just comes back to the versatility that Gen Y has to offer. Find out more by going to their website at genyhitch.com. On this week's Clamp Tight Close-Up, we're going to learn from Kevin how there's actually quite a few Clamp Tight tools.
So original tools are these over here. They're aluminum body based. They start at the 032 size wire and go all the way up to the 051 size. So it gives you a good variety of wires you can use on your cars, trucks, motorcycles.
But I have one like this at home.
Okay, so these are our nicer tools. They're all stainless steel, so they give you a lot more leverage to use on the tool, a lot more tension and torque.
Sure.
Also, they go to larger size wires. So this one goes up to an 062 size wire. This one goes up to an 1/8 of an inch size wire, and this one's 1/4 inch size wire. So it's your farming equipment, stuff like that, your fence posts, telephone pole repair.
We've already had quite a few opportunities to use our Clamp Tight tool at home, and one of them would be like on our little air tank that we have, that we take around at the track, and the end comes off. Guess what? We were able to fix it right away, right at the track with our Clamp Tight tool. And that is a good thing that you can use, whether it's on the big air hoses like you have in your shop or anything like that.
So that's a common repair we run into a lot in our garages. So I'll show you how to fix that on an air hose. You're going to take your 2 ends of wire, you're going to wrap them through, make a loop, feed them through your loop there, pull it tight. We're going to do the same thing one more time so you get that even 360-degree seal all the way around.
Sure.
And just pull it tight and then make sure you're not crisscross overlapped. The whole point of the clamp is 360 degrees. Take your tool, stick your nose. You have a pin there in the front.
Okay.
Pin in the back, and you twist the two together just like a bread tie, locks it down. Notch right on the end of the tool, and you start to tighten it up. We're not twisting the wire, so it's not going to snap. We're just nice, even pull pressure.
Sure.
So make sure you're cleaned up.
And then all we have to do is tighten it up.
Exactly.
We'll
and once
flip
we're
it
tight,
over.
Flip that over. And we're just going to cut the tool away.
And there you go.
Just like that.
Just like that, flip those over. And if you want to find out how you could get your Clamp Tight tool, just hop on their website at clamptighttools.com.
Well, that's all the time we have this week on Performance TV. And if you'd like to see your product on television, email Jeff at masterstv.com. We'll see you next time on Performance TV.